This is Kugan Cassius for IFL TV in association with Macklin in Marbella. I'm joined by Kris Yubenk Jr. How are you, Kris?
I'm good. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. Obviously, the big news is from the last week is that you'll be fighting on ITV pay-per-view, which hasn't been done before, against Reynold Quinlan for the IBO title. So your thoughts on that first of all, Kris?
It's a great opportunity. It's a huge opportunity to fight for my first world title on such a huge TV station. I couldn't ask for anything more. You know, the opportunity is in front of me. Yes, it's at super middleweight. Obviously, my previous fights have been at middleweight, but you know, I can mix it in both the weight divisions, and that is the goal. It's not to now stay at super middleweight. The goal is to win this world title, and then gun for anybody in the middleweight and the super middleweight division who has a world title. So we're going to get the ball rolling. We're going to get the ball rolling early 2017, and then start taking over both of the divisions after that.
Kris, looking on your Twitter, you felt as though you had to justify critics claiming the IBO title wasn't a recognised world title by tweeting a picture of obviously very recognised world champions that have held that IBO title. Why did you feel like you had to put that out there?
I didn't feel I had to. I just wanted to. I like giving it back a little bit to my army of haters that like to get on me about pretty much everything that I do, you know, and it shut quite a few people up. Obviously, you got the people that actually keep at it, but you can't deny when you see pictures of Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, Головкин, all holding this belt that I'm going to be fighting for. What can you tell me? You can't tell me anything. So that's why I did it.
Is people's argument not that when people like Pacquiao and Mayweather have held that IBO title, it's been alongside 2 or 3 other versions of the world title? Is that fair to say?
If that's true, it's true, but that doesn't matter. Either way, they're standing there holding their belt. They're holding their IBO world title belt in front of the boxing world. If it was a joke belt or it wasn't legit, they wouldn't be pictured with it. And you know, this is the beginning of my career, so you've got to start somewhere, right? So why not start with the IBO and then work my way up?
Again, I follow the sort of this kind of tweets you get. What response have you had about the whole concept behind ITV pay-per-view, as in regards to the opponent more so than anyone else? What response have you had personally, Kris?
Listen, the boxing public always respond with you know, with mixed emotions when it comes to pay-per-view. Everyone would like to watch a free fight, so whenever they have to pay for something, it's a bit like So in that sense, you know, some people weren't happy with it. But at the end of the day, I'm one of the most exciting fighters in Britain. Why shouldn't I fight on pay-per-view? It's going to be a hell of a fight. There's going to be a great undercard, and you know, not only that, ITV are going to be putting on free fight shows as well. So you know, it's a great opportunity, and boxing is a business. You know, I'm not doing this for nothing. I'm doing it so that I can have a future. So yeah, it's a great opportunity, and I'm going to take it with both hands.
Obviously, prior to the ITV pay-per-view announcement, we did see you tweet saying that there was a possibility, or you had been talking to Anthony Joshua via Eddie Hearn, or vice versa, about being on that December show. What happened as a result of that, and why weren't you on that bill in the end?
I think it was just too late. It was too last minute. That's all I know as far as why I wasn't on the show. They couldn't get me on. There wasn't enough spaces. But it doesn't matter. It was probably best that it wasn't on the show anyway, because you know, I had the injury. I was still getting treatment, but it was just one of those things that's I want to fight. I'm a fighter, so I want to get in the ring. I don't care if I'm injured. You know, even not fighting Tommy Langford, you know, it was hard for me to step out of that fight, even though I knew I should. I didn't want to, but now I'm back. Now I'm 100% fit, and February's the time.
You fought on Channel 5, you fought on Box Nation, you fought on Sky, on pay-per-view shows. Do you see your immediate future, especially over the next year, solely with ITV?
Yes. You know, it's a huge platform, and you know, that's what boxing deserves. That's what British boxing needs. It needs as much exposure as possible. And what more exposure can you get than on ITV? You know, 60 million people. It's huge. And we're going to take full advantage of the audience that we are going to be projecting this fight to. It's not just for boxing fans. This is for young kids. It's for old ladies. It's for people who know nothing about boxing. Those are the people that are going to be getting an insight into the British boxing world because of this event that's happening in February. And no one should be upset about that. If you're a boxing fan, if you're a true boxing fan, you should only be happy that this is happening, because you know, anything that's good for the sport of boxing is good for the fighters, it's good for the fans, it brings the sport up. There's so much talent out there in the British boxing right now. We should be getting as much exposure as we can get.
Chris, I want to obviously go back a few months where we haven't had a chance to kind of get your side on fights that we've heard one side from why they didn't happen. So I know you've probably spoken about this to death, but people still can't get their head around why Kris Eubank Jr. versus Головkин didn't happen. So from your side, we've heard Eddie Hearn countless times talk about why he believed the fight didn't happen, why it couldn't be made. But from your side, why didn't we see you versus Головkин in September? Why was it Kell Brook we saw?
Eddie saw an easy way out. He saw an opportunity to make things easier for himself by giving the fight away to Kell. We were in negotiations. We were negotiating contracts. We were negotiating everything for the fight. And we were close to getting it completely done. But you know, we're not rollovers. We're not just going to accept everything you tell us. We're not yes men. You know, we're fighters. We're going to take what we deserve. Whereas obviously Kell was just like, listen, yes to everything that Eddie wanted. So, you know, while we were in negotiating the contracts and the fight, he's turned around and given the fight to Kell. People ask me, you know, was I upset? Was I pissed off? You know, it was a missed opportunity, but at the same time, everything happens for a reason. And that fight is still there to be made. It will still happen. And I believe it will happen in 2017.
Like I said, where we've had one side of this story, we heard Eddie Hearn say things about, I'm going to say your dad wanted a specific commentator in Barry McGuigan. He wanted to double the ticket prices. Were these things that, have they been fabricated? Was these some of the sticking points to why the fight never got made?
As far as the commentator thing, I think my father did request that because of his history with Barry. Ticket prices, you know, anything to do with that was something that was suggested by Eddie that would be a possibility. We didn't go in there and say, right, this is how much ticket prices have to be. He was one that said, listen, we can, you know, with this type of fight, we can get these type of prices. We can sell tickets for this type of price. And everyone saw what he did with the tickets anyway, even for the Kell Brook fight. So him saying that the fight wasn't made because we were trying to push silly prices on tickets, it's madness. But obviously, he's got to say something. He's not going to just say, oh, you know, it was an easier route for me to take, so I just gave the fight to Kell, knowing that Kell wouldn't win. He knew Kell wasn't going to win. He knew he wasn't going to win. He put him in there anyway, and I think that says a lot. But like I said, everything happens for a reason, and that fight will go ahead. Just because I'm going up to super middleweight now does not mean I will not come back down for Головkин. I want that fight. I want Saunders. I want Alvarez. All these middleweights I want, and that's not going to change once I become super middleweight world champion.
What is the reason for you moving up to super middleweight for this immediate fight?
We offered Grove, we offered Головкин, we offered these guys the opportunity to fight on ITP, and for whatever reason, the deals could not be made. Usually it was a money thing. Groves was pricing himself out, asking for silly money. Basically just, it's his way of saying I don't want to fight without actually saying it. Головкин wanted too much for what ITV's first venture into boxing would allow. So those fights didn't go through. And then we got the opportunity we saw an opportunity to fight this IBO super middleweight world champion. And we thought, why not? It's not middleweight, but it's a world title. It's a huge thing to bring that title back to England. People are going to want to see that. This guy's game. He's ready to come over and defend his title in a foreign country against one of the best fighters in the world. That says a lot about that man. I respect that. I believe it's going to be a hell of a fight. He knocked out Daniel Gill in his last performance, so he's not playing around. He's got the world title, and he's not going to just come over here and just give it up. Any world champion wants to keep his world title belt, unless you're Canelo Alvarez, who doesn't want to fight Головкин, and you give up. But this guy's coming over here to defend his title with everything he's got, so it should be a hell of a show.
Chris has talked about Billy Joe Saunders. Obviously, Billy Joe Saunders, quite relentlessly, especially on our channel, has had his things to say regarding, more specifically over the last year, why this rematch hasn't happened. It seems, especially after the first fight, very close fight, that a rematch was inevitable to happen. It hasn't happened. Talking to Frank Warren, he says it's down to you and your team why the fight doesn't happen. Why isn't that fight happening with Billy Joe Saunders?
Frank Warren is he's a slippery guy, man. Everyone knows it. He's slippery. He says one thing and does the complete opposite. He's telling people I'll never work with the Eubanks again. And then he's bidding for me to fight. He wins a purse bid for me to fight against Langford to host the fight. After he's just said I will never work with them guys again. So you can't take anything he says seriously. Him saying it's all down to us why the fight hasn't happened. He's been blocking it. He doesn't want me going in there and beating up his boy, his golden boy. Well, he's not so golden anymore after this last fight, but you know, who's Warren got? He's got Saunders. Saunders is his main guy, as far as I know. Is Fury with him? Is Fury Warren? No, it's Hennessy still, right?
Well, Fury fighting on Box Nation, more than likely. So
I'm talking about Tyson.
Well, I thought you were talking about Fury.
No, I'm talking about Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury was, well, that's unclear his situation at the moment. He's not really in boxing anymore.
So who's he got? He's got Saunders. You know, he's saying about, you know, they offered us $1 million or whatever he said to fight Saunders. While he's saying that, he's in talks with the Boxing Board of Control about getting me fines for not fighting Langford. So he's pushing that. He's trying to sue us and all this stuff. So you're doing that, but then you're offering me a fight for £1 million. It's bollocks. You know, the guy is he's slippery, and that's putting it lightly. So yeah, but people know this. If you know boxing, you know Frank Warren. You know what he's about. He's you know, whatever he says, you take it with a grain of salt. But that fight will happen. But Frank's gonna have to ease up on the tricks and the messing about if it's gonna happen, because you know every time we get into the situation where okay, we can get the fight going, there's too much. He's putting too many spanners in the works. He's putting too much rubbish into contracts, and that's why it hasn't happened. We're not yes men. Yes, I want the fight, but I'm not going to sell my soul to get it. And that's the reason why I'm taking this fight for the IBO world title, because once I get a world title, then all this stuff, it gets made much easier. Once I have a world title behind my name, then it's like, then I can start calling the shots. Then it's him who needs to come to me. At the moment, he has a world title, so it's kind of me trying to get to him. Even though saying that, I'm the biggest money fight that he's ever going to get, and that's the only reason why Saunders wants to fight me, for the money. He doesn't want to fight me. He just wants to get the money that he'll make from the fight. So we'll see what happens, but it's got to happen. It's got to happen at some point. And again, I think 2017, after I've won this world title, we can get the ball rolling on it.
Out of preference, who would you say was your number one target in that middleweight division from Saunders and Головkina?
It's both of them. Saunders because of our history, and Головkina because I know I can beat him, and everyone thinks he's the best middleweight in the world, and I know he's not. One's personal, one is, business, legacy. They're both important to me.
I know after the whole turnout with Головkina and Kell Brook fighting him, I know you got a lot of stick about people saying that you ducked Головkina, etc. Can you understand, I suppose, from a fan point of view, people sort of looking in, not seeing what's going on behind the scenes, why they would think that you possibly didn't want to fight Головkina? Can you see that, why people would think that or not?
No, I can't. When I'm talking about Головkina, when you're looking at me and when people are seeing what the things I'm saying and how I'm saying them, you can see it's genuine. I'm not an actor. I wish I was an actor. My life would be a lot easier. But I'm not an actor. I'm not just making things up. I'm not calling people out and saying stuff that I don't believe or that I don't want. So if you understand that, you understand that I want this fight. I'm not ducking anybody. I would love to fight Головkina. I would love it. Because I know I can beat him. I know I can expose that man. I know I can take a shot. I know he wouldn't knock me out. And that's all he's got. He's got that power. It's great power. It's great power. But I'm not afraid of that. And if you've got somebody that's going to go in there that's not afraid of his power, that can take a punch and press it, he's going to fold. I'm going to take him out. I'm going to take him out or I'm going to win on points. Because he's not faster than me. He hasn't got a better defense than me. He gets hit for fun. He's talking about he likes getting hit. I've heard him say that before. All right, if you like getting hit, then let me do that for you. Yeah.
Chris, it's also been suggested that there's been blame put on your dad to why the Головkina fight didn't happen. Can you respond to that?
My father and Team Jubenk are the people that negotiate the contracts. They want the best for me. They're not going to let me get screwed over by stipulations in contracts, clauses. All that stuff has to be perfect. So because the fight didn't happen, and because they're controlling, or he's the face of the people that are controlling, the contractual agreements, because that didn't go through, people were blaming. But it's a two-way street here. It can't all be him. It can't all be Team Jubenk. If it doesn't work out, then it's both sides. They both messed up. They both not come to an agreement. So yes, Eddie Hearn is to blame for the fight not happening. He didn't have to give it away to Kell. The fight would, if he had stuck it out. If
there was a deadline set, was there not?
They always talk about that. This is the deadline. If you don't do what we want by this time, then it's out. I've heard that loads of times before. It doesn't mean anything. It's a scare tactic. It's something people do to these guys do to make you rush into things. Like, oh, okay, all right, well, we just got to do it. Otherwise, we're gonna. It's you know, but the fight will still happen. It's just got to happen on the right terms. I'm not going to sell my soul for these fights. Eddie didn't have to give the fight to Kel. If Kel had said no, I'm not fighting Головkin, which is what he should have said, the fight would have happened. He wouldn't.
Why should he have said that though? Because you're a fighter yourself. You know that mentality of.
Okay,
you know.
all right. Well, I know he didn't believe he could win. I mean, in my personal opinion, watching the way he spoke, his mannerisms, his body language, he didn't have me believe he could win the fight. In my opinion, if you don't think you can win a fight, you shouldn't be fighting. You know, prepare and wait until you're ready and then fight, or don't fight. He fought because there was a nice big paycheck in it for him, in my opinion. If he hadn't have given the fight to Kel, if Kel had said no, I don't want to fight him, I would have fought him. There was no one else to fight, so he would have had to have smoothed out the problems that were in the contract. Kel said yes, so he got the fight. What happened, and in 2017, I'm looking to fight him. I'm looking to fight Головkin. I'll fight Kell Brook if I have to. I'll fight all these guys.
Just one more thing about this before, obviously you spoke about it at depth there, so don't want to keep going over the same thing, but Eddie Hearn also specifically said that if you were in the room when the negotiations were going on, the fight would have happened. Can you try and explain what you believe he means by that?
I can't answer that question because I wasn't in the room. Maybe I should have been, and maybe in future I will now always be involved directly with what's going on with these fight deals, contracts, stuff like that. I don't know. I wasn't there, so I can't comment on it. Of course, I would have been there, and I would have been saying, listen, I want to fight, but I'm not going to be like anything you want to get it. You know, there's boundaries. It's got to be fair. It's got to be 50-50. We're fighters. We should be getting the lion's share. Promoters shouldn't be getting the lion's share of a fight. And I guess Eddie doesn't like that idea.
The suggestion also that your father is too involved in your career. I know a lot of people say that. They believe that your father should take a step back, and your father is far from gonna do that by the looks of it. But what do you say to that, to people that say that your dad should step away a little bit away from your career?
I mean, who are these people? What do they know about boxing?
Some of them might be the ones that buy your pay-per-view.
But what do they truly know about being a fighter? What do they know about the business? Aside from what they hear on IFL and on Twitter, they don't know. They think they know. They don't know. So how can these people say or give me advice on who I should keep around me? It's like people come up to me in the street. Oh, Chris, I saw your last fight. You know, it was great, but you should have done that. You should have done that move. You should have done that. It's like, when was your last professional boxing match? People do it. It's just a natural thing. They tell you, they say things, they suggest things that they really don't actually know anything about. So to the people that say my father shouldn't be involved, you know, show me your credentials, and then I might sit down and listen to your opinion. Until then, I'm going to do what I feel is best.